There's a quiet assumption in immigration debates that integration happens quickly, that people arrive and within a few years everything blends smoothly. But that's not how history works, and pretending it is creates unrealistic expectations that guarantee disappointment. Every major wave of migration in Western history has followed a generational pattern. First-generation immigrants often live in ethnic communities, may not fully master the dominant language, and face discrimination or economic barriers. Their children typically grow up bilingual, navigating two cultures while achieving higher levels of education and mobility. By the third generation, linguistic, economic, and social integration is often largely complete, even as elements of cultural heritage remain. This isn't a sign of failure, it's the normal rhythm of how human communities adapt over time. Integration itself isn't a single event, but a cluster of long-term processes unfolding simultaneously. Language acquisition takes years, especially for adults, and maintaining a heritage language while learning a new one adds complexity. Economic integration involves credential recognition, building professional networks, and gradual upward mobility, often across generations. Cultural adaptation requires learning unwritten social norms, understanding institutions, and building trust across communities. Social integration includes forming cross-cultural friendships, intermarriage, and developing a genuine sense of belonging. None of these processes reliably conclude within just a few years. So why do we talk as if they should? Politically, it's more convenient. For supporters of immigration, acknowledging that integration takes decades can sound like admitting difficulty. For opponents, normal transitional challenges can be framed as evidence of failure. Across the spectrum, complexity doesn't fit neatly into election cycles. It's easier to promise quick assimilation or to demand it than to admit that meaningful integration unfolds over generations. As a result, public expectations have often been misaligned with social reality. Those unrealistic expectations shape policy and funding decisions. When integration is assumed to be rapid, language programs, settlement services, and community infrastructure are funded as short-term interventions rather than sustained investments. Yet successful integration requires long-term support in education, credential recognition, employment pathways, anti-discrimination enforcement, and community-building initiatives. Schools need resources to support multilingual classrooms over many years. Economic systems need mechanisms to help newcomers translate skills into opportunity. Communities need spaces and programs that foster trust and interaction across cultural lines. Treating integration as a brief adjustment period rather than a generational process almost guarantees underinvestment. The mismatch in expectations affects individuals as well. Longtime residents may expect immediate linguistic and cultural assimilation, interpreting visible cultural resistance rather than as a normal stage of adaptation. Newcomers may expect rapid economic success and swift social acceptance, feeling discouraged when progress is slower and more complicated. When reality fails to meet these compressed timelines, frustration grows on all sides. But the problem is not the people involved, it is the assumption that complex social transformation should happen almost instantly. A more realistic model recognizes distinct generational patterns. First-generation immigrants often maintain strong ties to their heritage culture while building new economic and social foundations. Their children frequently act as cultural bridges, comfortable in multiple worlds, and often achieving significant upward mobility. By the third generation, identification with the broader national community is typically strong, even if aspects of ancestral culture remain. This pattern has appeared repeatedly across countries and eras, suggesting that integration is less a sprint than a relay across generations. If we align expectations with that reality, policy becomes more grounded and less reactive. Success would be measured across decades rather than annual headlines. Cultural clustering in early generations would be understood as a normal support mechanism, not a permanent endpoint. Visible difference would not automatically be equated with failure. Long-term investment would replace short-term optics. Integration takes time because trust, language, economic mobility, and shared identity all take time. Acknowledging that isn't pessimism, it's realism. And realism is the foundation for policies that reduce frustration, strengthen social cohesion, and give both newcomers and established communities a fair chance to thrive together.